Hey, hello guys, hope everyone's doing okay. It's been a while, as is customary for me to say at the start of a stream these days. Just been busy on, well, a lot busier than I expected on freelance basically. That's still going, but I just wanted to take a night tonight to kind of do a little bit of Grim work. So figured I'd come back to the long-term project. I have worked on this project just a little bit off stream, only a couple hours, I think like 2 or 3 hours total. So there has been some changes. In terms of the actual scene construction, nothing's really changed, just did a bit of sculpting on the face. Added a background curtain, thrown on a very basic pom-pom groom, which obviously renders a lot denser than what's visible here, and did a little bit of cloth look dev. So obviously this is artifacting because it's low res, but when you smooth it out, it does get a little bit better. But yeah, so I've spent a little bit of time kind of figuring out general look dev approaches and that sort of stuff, but nothing really too major going on. I do need to rework this hat, but in terms of what I do today, because I want it to be quite a short stream, I'm just going to spend a little bit of time figuring out grooms on the character, because as we know, this is my ref, there's no visible groom. The pom-pom, also no visible groom, I just kind of wanted to do that. But yeah, so we're just going to try to figure out, obviously he's got paint on his face, so that will change quite a few things. So like things like beard stubble won't be too affected, but they will be buried. But when it comes to things like eyebrows and eyelashes, I want to do them, but then like put paint in them maybe. But it's really kind of unsure what I want to do. In the latest render, well, I'll show you guys. So the latest render you guys saw was this. And the latest render I have is this. So there's not a huge amount of difference. The sculpt is a pretty subtle change. And other than that, it's just very basic shading work. Really nothing too crazy going on. So there's not a huge amount to cover. As I said, it's literally only been a couple hours work that I've done off stream. But yeah, so again, apologies for the huge space and time. I will have to do a second shading pass because I kind of like this silk thing, but mine's a lot thicker, which I also kind of like, so I need to figure out what material this is exactly. But yeah, so I guess I'm going to start kind of around the eyes, because Peach Fuzz, hey, back on the old projects, yep, still, I do want to get this guy going, I do want to finish it at some point, and I'm pretty happy with the way it's going so far, I guess, but yeah, so anyway, I'm just going to try to figure out eyebrows, eyelashes, maybe some stubble like what this guy's got, but just blocking. I don't want to do anything too crazy, especially since he will be covered in paint. So, you know, that's going to kind of flatten most of the hair, to be honest. We're going to end up with only little patches. But for now, I'm going to almost treat it like he doesn't have face paint, and so we can just kind of block out a general idea. Obviously, I need to figure out the hair as well, like how I'm going to do the hair. Really not sure on that, but what is this ref even? Oh, it's for the bottom of the thumb. What is that even for? But yeah, so also let me know if the audio levels are okay, because I've not streamed this project for so long that I've changed back to my old microphone, like the actual nice one, not the headset one. So I don't know if the music and the voice is completely out of whack now. But yeah, so I think everything's working. Yeah, alright, cool. Yeah, so I'm going to put that on the other screen, and I guess as always, if there's any questions, do feel free to let me know. So what I'm wondering is, do I want to make a scalp geometry? Because they're not really too important with Yeti, to be honest. He is pretty high poly. I mean, 31,000 polygons is not high by any means, but it's high enough to maybe cause issues. But let's just see what happens. So let's just create a Yeti node and mesh, and this one will be the eyebrows, I guess. Yeah, the eyebrows. Let's just throw that in there, and then I'm going to also create a groom on the mesh. Create groom on mesh, and this one will be the eyebrows groom. Cool. And something I always do is set render density to 1, because I've got a powerful enough PC to just throw, you know, kind of just throw hair onto something. But yeah, so I guess if we're going to start with the eyebrows, let's just go into... Let's figure out which ref we want to target first. Because obviously whatever ref I go for is going to end up a lot sparser. I do kind of like this crazy stuff at the ends. That could be kind of fun to do, but at the same time, with his ref being so sparse, like as in there's literally no drawn hairs, I do kind of need to be careful as to how much hair I do. Because eyebrows like this, I think, would poke through the paint quite a lot and would be visible in the painting. Whereas eyebrows like this guy's, I feel, would be a lot more susceptible to being flattened. So we can try some fun with this. And then eyelashes, I'm just going to do normal eyelashes because I think putting paint in the eyelashes could be quite a lot of fun. We are going to have to work asymmetrically on this. But yeah, so let's just start placing guides, see what happens. Let's go into the tool settings. Cool. So my camera's a bit out of whack. There we go. So where's his brow? I'm going to say around here. And what's his expression? His expression is raised, so I'm going to place the middle of the brow like here. And let's just plan out where it'll end. So we want it to go all the way to like here. Cool. And then let's just go in the middle of that. And for now, let's just sculpt a general shape. Obviously this inside edge needs to be a lot shorter, but let's experiment a little bit. I guess there's not much experimentation to do actually with this. I'm just curious as to how I'm going to do the paint effect. Like, I know methods to achieve it, I'm just wondering which one would work best for this project's needs. Yeah, so these are way too long. So let's just go in and paint them down to half of that. That might be okay. Nah, I'm gonna go longer than that. Let's go 0.75. I'm gonna keep the eyebrows like kind of the same length everywhere for now. I can add length variation later. And obviously I may work in asymmetrically as well. Actually, this should be a lot flatter. I'm giving that too much credit. There we go. This is where it needs to start getting shorter, but we'll ignore that for now. Let's just start getting some more guys in there. Oh, let's go into strands, conform new strands, and we'll keep mesh vertices on for now. I don't see an issue doing that. Resampling. 10 should be fine. Again, I'm going to worry about length later. I just want to get the general flow for now. I find Yeti, because of the whole kind of paint length thing with guides, you can actually kind of come back to length later. Like just get a general idea for the shapes first and then just cut it basically. Find that a lot easier of a process. So I just want to start getting like a general idea of where everything should be. So him, I'm gonna have him do that. Although his eyebrows are supposed to be moving up, aren't they? It's supposed to be up there. So let's just quickly grab these guys. Let's take that down to 35. Make it a little bit easier to get in tight to the eye. Maybe 50mm would be better. A bit less distortion. Cool. So obviously this guy's going to turn now that we've seen this. So let's do that. What shape's going to work for you? That feels a bit fake. Let's have him go up and then outwards like that. Feels a bit better. So what I'm thinking in my head right now is have like the main eyebrow go from here to here, and then just have like a really sparse patch out here. I mean, I'm not following the refs exactly, but this ref is probably the one that's inspiring it most. Whereas like you kind of got this main brow, although a lot of this is pointing down, which I'm not really going to try to do. I mean, I could take more inspiration from this maybe, but this is kind of the one that I'm looking at most. But again, I'm not treating it as like, you know, the only kind of thing. I'm kind of improvising mostly, to be honest. Oh, this guy's eyebrow is kind of cool. But yeah, so let's see. Back on that guy. At some point, I do need to model the meniscus in the eye as well. Let's see what comes out of this. So, get a guide on that. I'm gonna turn off create mesh verts. We'll need to pull some of these in, I think, because currently the eyebrow feels like it's all the same distance from the head, which it shouldn't be. I can probably also start getting some length variation there now, so let's go in and paint some smaller areas, like that. Let's just turn down the display size as well. There we go. I always like to do guides with an attribute visible just because it gives you a really good idea as to where all the roots are, and looking at the dots allows you to tell if you're kind of grouping things, like not grouping things, placing things uniformly. Just get you in there. Yeah, some of these are going to need to dive in a bit more, aren't they? Like this guy. Wait, he's the wrong length, isn't he? No, he's not. Okay. Let's display a heat map. Much easier. Second, sorry, I just had to respond to something. But yeah, so this area is troubling me. And I know why. It's because I'm treating the flows with too much respect. Like, something that I'm aware of is like an issue with my work is that my grooms always avoid crossover way too much. Like in hair, obviously hairs interact with each other. There is a generally kind of, you know, well, not uniform, but like they flow together. They don't flow randomly. However, I take that to heart a bit too much, I think, and it results in all of my grooms kind of having no crossover, which is quite important for something to feel natural. And when I say crossover, I mean like, see how these guys are kind of flowing into each other, and these ones are kind of flowing into that. In real life, there'd be nothing stopping hairs from just suddenly deciding to completely cross over like that. There's nothing stopping that, so I'm going to put that in there. Maybe this guy can be a bit more forceful too. And maybe even sticking out more. Let's just place you there. Yeah, because you see how now I'm ending up with almost like a layer where all the hairs are reaching the same height? That's one of the issues with my grooming. So let's just quickly break that up a bit. Because eyebrows aren't super dense, so they can kind of pass through each other all the time. As in, like, there's no consistent layer where hairs are laying on top of each other. And just because, again, there's so much space between each hair, you can kind of get away with this sort of shit. So let's just pull that through, like that. Now, obviously, you do need quite a lot of guides to make that work, because these guides don't affect a lot of hair, not just individual hairs. But then, me and eyebrows has always been a case of making things too strong, or too many guides, so I have no qualms with pushing it a bit too far. What happens if I just mirror this? That honestly worked better than I expected. Oh, no it didn't, never mind. Is that really how asymmetrical he is? Jesus. Can I just grab these and move them? Aha! So let's have a quick look at the ref. Yeah, this brow should be going like down, shouldn't it? Like completely just like... In fact, no. His eyebrows are bunched, it's just that lower section, so it still needs to be going up. Okay, so let's just pull you there. Just get them off the eye bag. And raise them up a little bit. Oh, that's iron, wrong one. There we go. Okay, well, let's get some monobrow guides in there. They really need to rework the scale brush. I hate it so much. Bit too short. That'll do. Check messages. There we go. Let's just really mess this area up and see what happens. It's something like... It's a habit I'm really trying to get into, is like just trusting the sculpt brush, like kind of letting the accidental shapes stay and just seeing what comes out of the chaos. that and just like settle for that to see what happens. Although these are pointing too far up. Let's just do that. Okay. So let's just quickly throw that into the Yeti graph. So that is the wrong tool. So let's go into the eyebrows, graph, add Grims. Cool. Cool. So that's been added. Let's go into the Yeti graph editor. Cool. And then let's create another import. So if we grab this guy and just quickly do that, we can see what this is like. Obviously we'll have to paint out a lot of shit. I think that radius, maybe let's reduce it a little bit. That's obviously too close, so we are just going to have to paint shit, but for now, for proxy, that'll do. Let's just quickly throw together some actual Grim. Close U to get a bit more screen space. And then I can close this a little bit. So we do want some clumps. So let's just grab that. I hate the fact it doesn't duplicate it with connections. It'd be so helpful if it did. So let's just do that. And set you to like 10. And clumping. Let's set you maybe even lower, 5. That's roughly the right amount. Okay, so clump radius. What this allows the hairs to do is basically they only clump to hair within a certain distance of themselves. The problem with that is it works great for long hairs and awful for short hairs. So what I tend to do is just type length. See how that works. More often than not, it's a bit too much. So I do length divided by 2 or divided by 3 and just figure out what works. So now clumps will only clump, hairs will only clump to clump curves that are like half their length away. Or if I do this, it's a quarter of their length away. So you get less hairs that are clumped. But it just means that the clumps feel a bit more natural. Let's go divided by 3. And then you can obviously add flyaway, but I don't really like the way flyaway works, so I tend to kind of do that manually. In the weight here was way random doing. Yeah, no, I tend to leave that alone. So let's just super quickly throw in a width. Beautiful. Width multiplier, so we could multiply this by length, but I tend not to like doing that. I do always fix this though. I don't know why base width is set to anything other than 1. Okay. Say to 0.2. let's do yes, that's gonna tail off really quickly, which might be what we want, maybe. Obviously, we need density maps and stuff before this starts to actually work. Okay. Scraggles. Beautiful. Right, so let's definitely lower that. Throw another scrabble on that, and this one can just be strays. What I might do though is turn off maintain length. In fact, no, I'm not. Let's, rather than do that, let's do a transform node. So let's do it before scrap lengths. Create transform. Okay. So there's the element scale. We're just going to set that to hash ID less than 0.2 for now as a proxy number. Then let's do 1.5 or 1. Okay, definitely lower that number to 5. And for example's sake, let's just set that to a much larger number. Oh, does it not read the length? Does this not do the length attribute? Because this width is multiplied by length, right? And this doesn't update it. So that's 10. The hash is super thick. Oh, it doesn't. Okay. I didn't know that. What a shame. Okay. Okay, well I can always split them into their own room. I was just going to try to do like the fixed strays, like these guys, but I can just place those by hand if I wanted to. Yeah, let's do that instead. So, just do this. Cool. So obviously our room looks a bit crazy right now. There's many reasons for that, but I guess the main one is that we're missing maps like density and that sort of stuff. There's no variation anyway, it's just like the eyebrow is just on. So let's just throw some attribute paints in here. Okay, so let's do that one. Okay, let's call this density. And then let's just flood fill that. In fact, actually we need to go back into here. Just plug you into there. Let's leave it out of this guy. We can just crank the radius of influence. but we'll get back to that in a moment. Density, let's go into the toolbox, or tool settings. 0.5. Are you going to be streaming more often? I don't know yet, to be honest. I've got quite a lot of shit to do. 0.05. Yeah, I've got quite a lot of freelance stuff to do. I just figured tonight would be like a nice night to have a bit of a break. Yeah, I would love to start streaming more often again. It's just too much stuff to do. A lot of stuff to sort out at the moment. It's stressful. Go even lower density, 0.2. Okay. I think let's lower the overall density. Although I do want to quickly change. Let's go 0.5 again. Just make this inside area. That kind of thing. Just soften the outside too. Okay, so I got that. Let's increase our radius of influence so we get something that feels a bit more uniform. On average, how many hours do you spend doing CG, including your work time? So during times of freelance, I start work at 10, which is quite nice, although sometimes I do start work earlier depending on how much shit I've got to do. Finish work at 6, and then I'll usually freelance until 8, 9 o'clock. On occasional instances 10 o'clock, so I can be doing 12-hour days relatively routinely when I'm doing freelance, and then on days off I just tend to play video games, just kind of chill because I want to get away obviously from doing freelance all the time. But yeah, so set 5. There we go. So yeah, I do tend to keep myself quite busy. Okay, so now width. Okay, so that's going to take you to go for that too. Okay, and just plug in the width attribute. There we go. Yeah, that's why I tend to not stream so much when I'm doing freelance. It's also why I keep freelance to a minimum. I enjoy working with the clients I get. I'm actually very fortunate. Like, the clients I get tend to be very nice, which from what I know isn't the norm. You can get dick clients sometimes, but I've been quite fortunate. The ones I'm working with at the moment are great. I'm not just saying that because obviously they know my social media. Like, they actually are quite fun to work with. I do look forward to being able to share what I did as well. But you know, it doesn't really matter how nice a freelance client is. Like, if you're working so many hours, you just get sick and tired of it. So, you know, when I'm done with this freelance, I'll probably take like 5 months off of freelance. Like, not do anything for anyone for a while. Let's undo that and just do that here. Get some baby hairs. Cool. So, I guess what we can do to remove all this is add hairs on the, or guides on the outside that have a density paint to 0. And that would help get rid of all this shit. Let's just quickly tweak the shape of this guy though. Not liking him that much. Okay, so let's throw a guide in there. Okay, and he's just going to go this way. What I might do is find a length that works. So let's cut him down to like here and sample that length. Bless me. So that's 0.8. Oh wait, that's not length I'm sampling. Okay, so 0.4. So let's just round that down to exactly 0.4 and paint that value on. Now what I can do is turn off conform, set initial strand length to 0.4, segment length to 0.5, so we get 8 CDs. Then what I can do now is just quickly go in and place these guys around. Now obviously I have to sculpt them in a moment, but the job of these guys is just to remove all the hair around them. Okay, so let's just grab all these guys. Okay, let's quickly comb that to make some vague sense. Then all we're going to do here is just go into the density attribute and fill all these to 0. If they're not already set to 0. And then width, we're going to have to set, let's go 0.2. So we don't want the width to disappear. Like a groom this simple might be enough for me to move on to something else and start planning. We'll just have to see kind of how it looks, basically. So let's, where we're looking right now, let's go into the outliner and hide you. Yeah, it's a bit ridiculous. I definitely need to spend more time. I need to paint a mask, is what I need to do, but I also need to go into the graph editor and just make it so not every hair is compact. So let's just go weight, hash ID +1. Oh, greater than or equal to would be better. There we go. And then let's just go into the scatter and just reduce that a little bit. Let's go 30. Oh, 35. And is the thickness a bit much? Hard to tell. I'm going to reduce it slightly. Feels a bit better. Yeah, they're really ugly eyebrows. But they're good enough for us to start. Let's just do a quick test render basically. Assign new material. Standard hair. Melanin, you're going to be very low. Something like that. Let's just call this the eyebrow map. Then go into the Arnold renderer. It's getting a fan really warm in my room. Has my colour space disappeared, or is it just really blown out for some reason? Let's go render cam. And let's check my render settings while I'm at it. Okay, so it's set to -6. Oh, that looks great. Okay, cool. Let's let it do its thing for a moment. Color management. I should probably update this to Open Color 2.0. The hair's even rendering. I think they are. Yeah, they are. Yeah, they absolutely are. So let's get into the hypershade. That's something I'm not sure about actually, is like, should they be grey or should they be darker? Because people's eyebrows don't really age the same way. Like, they tend to stay darker for longer. Yeah, I thought I named this. We did name it. That's not actually... Is displacement kicking in there? Or is that just some kind of rendering bug? That doesn't look correct at all. Unless I have some kind of override enabled. Let's see what happens if I do this. It's really struggling. This looks like something's wrong. We can ignore it for now, but I'm curious as to what's causing that. Okay, so it looks so bad. We'll get some maps painted in the next session. For now, let's create another Yeti node and mesh. This one can be for eyelashes. And let's see for beard while we're at it. So let's go Yeti. First double will be better then. Cool. So, start with eyelashes. We need to create a Yeti node mesh again. Oh no, create a Grimacing mesh, sorry. For eyelashes, Grim. Okay, let's throw some guide work in there. Okay, so that looks so, I don't know why it's rendering like that, it's so strange. So let's get to that tool settings. Let's find, this is the row we want to put them on, right here. So let's go you, 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 you. Simply bottom lid, and let's say you maybe? The mesh isn't actually that clean for the bottom lid, that's not good. I'm gonna say it's this row here. It's just, it's rolling over too far over this side, so we may have to fix that at some point. I mean, I can always just, you know, move the guides off the vertices, but I find with eyelashes, if you want them to track properly, you kind of need the topology to be nice and clean. So let's start with them. Let's paint them down to, oh Jesus. Paint them down to 04 length. Something like that kind of works. Cool. And then top lashes. They tend to be like 2 centimeters long. Oh, not 2 centimeters, Jesus, 1 centimeter long. Which technically makes this correct. But no. Maybe it's half a centimeter, maybe I'm completely misremembering that. Maybe it's half a centimeter. Let's just quickly comb these up. Okay, and then direction. I can't do that. So let's do the opposite. Comb them down. Shit. I should use a button to very quickly invert this ramp. Be really helpful. Okay, now let's paint these down a little bit. Not really what I wanted to do, but okay. So we sample that actually. I could just cut them. That's not how eyelashes work. Cool. Maybe we should scale all of these down by like that much. That might work well enough. This side's gonna be a nightmare, so I'm gonna ignore that for now. Just gonna pretend it never happened. We will want to kind of fuck these about a bit, just so they're not so perfect. Granted, I'm going to do a fair bit using scraggles, but yeah, it's nice to have some kind of variation in there. Granted, again, this is proxy as all hell, so let's just go into that Yeti graph editor, select the eyelashes, add the groom. And do the usual. And I don't know why I went through that menu, but okay. Comb. Obviously, we want to set that down. Well, this needs to go up, but no. The actual radius needs to go down. Okay, yeah, this is where we need maps. I think you can't really get away with eyelashes without maps. Let's just increase that a little bit. For the sake of proxy, that will help. And again, let's do these guys. Cool. For a scraggler now, just to break up some of the hairs. Maybe it could be worth using a transform instead. Maybe, why don't I just... Let me create a convert node instead. And I want to convert you, use the base. Perfect. That's beyond done. It's a bit thin, maybe. Okay, and let's just throw our proxy density and widths on there. Tool settings, paint, and then generally as a block out, what I like to do is just paint 0.5 on the bottom. Let me just hide you. And also save, it's been a while. So display this heat map to make life a bit simpler. Paint you guys to 0.5, then duplicate this, rename it to width. And like for a proxy, that tends to work. Like the bottom lashes are roughly half the width and half the density as the top lashes. Again, that's insanely proxy. Like it's not really like that at all, but it works as a preview. We'll just have to increase that density a bit, 400 maybe. Cool, and let's throw a scraggle into here too. Hello. That's really weird. Anyway. if it's working, it's kind of fine, I guess. Cool. And then my usual hash ID. Eh? Oh, when did that happen? Cool. And then for the facial hair, let's do pretty much the same thing again. Obviously I'll have to do the other side, but most of it's kind of covered, so not too worried about getting that right yet. Okay, yeah. So create room on mesh again. And this one's gonna be the double room. So I'm gonna do something like this. The only reason I'm making a groom for this at all is just so that I can, what's the word I'm looking for right now? So I can just like basically put a map in there. I'll be removing it later. But again, the point of this stream is to kind of block out. So that's not what I want. That's not what I want either. There we go. Cool, so first double grim. And I'm just going to go in and literally do this, so set E to like 0.2, just paint some. Okay, so this is going to basically mark where I want stuff to be. For stuff of like this reference's length, you wouldn't even need guides to get like direction variation because it's just so short that you literally can't see it. As in like the direction variation, I mean. Let's just do something like that. Okay, into the length. Oh no, not length. Let's create a density attribute. Get into there. And this is just going to be painted down to like lower amounts in different places basically. In fact, I can set this to 0, but a lot of brush softness and just maybe not 0. Let's go like 0.4. Nah, lower, 0.2. And let's heat map it as well. and to get some nice variation in there. Just going with the scatter. This is how to make it patchy. I'll have to refine the edges again in a moment. Okay, so take that to 0. Well, that will do. Again, it's proxy. You can do it properly later. So, get to graph editor, let's hide U, and add U as an input grim. Okay, then usual. We don't even need comb, do we? So let's just go like that. Okay, so let's just grab a scraggle. So you definitely won't get clumping at that length. I mean, hell, a scraggle's debatable, but get rid of that random direction. So if it's recently been shaved, you wouldn't get any. You wouldn't get any taper. Nah, it needs to be thicker. I always forget that shaders tend to have the a very subtle like kind of thinning effect almost. Hey guys, how you doing? Alright? Hey Ronnie, how you doing, man? So that will do just for figuring stuff out. Although this this scraggle's way too strong. Let's throw length into the multiplier. Granted, there's no length variation, but still. Let's set that to a high number. I think the hairs need to be even shorter, maybe. And I think denser on the chin than anywhere else. So we need to tweak that density up a little bit. So let's go into that stubble groom. Edit groom density. Technically she should do a width map too, but let's just go tool settings. There you are. then let's duplicate that. Call it width. And I don't imagine the width changes that much. I mean, I have literally zero facial hair, so I'm not qualified to talk on what it should be. I'm going to make the assumption that it's thinner up here, but only slightly. So let's go like 0.6, and just paint that in. Just kind of thin it out. That will help with the blending a little bit. I'll do that around this area too. Stuff like that will do. And then let's just scatter, well, randomize. Right, we can just fill that, right? There we go. That's a bit much though. So let's randomize it by 0.1. There we go. Cool. So yeah, to graph out to high hue. So it feels a bit long. Let's go into this grow and just set the length multiplier. Let's go 0.8. That density's not high enough either. Let's go 18. There we go, that's a bit better. Yeah, I can do like a proper map at some point. Okay, so let's assign, we need an eyelash material and a new material. Some hair. The eyelash map. We'll keep the melanin pretty high. Do some melanin redness, add a fair bit of roughness, and for the stubble, assign new material, shader, first stubble matte, and this guy, you have to go pretty low in that melanin, and let's just change the base a little bit to grey it out. Like that might work. I'm always tempted to add like a very subtle amount of diffuse on this sort of shit, but we don't need that much depth here. Let's set that to 8. Okay, and let's do a test window. See how this goes. Maybe I want to match this guy. I don't know. He has a really interesting face. He'd be a lot of fun to sculpt. Granted, if I remember the source correctly, this guy is like a really horrible person. But I can't remember the source, so it's kind of tricky. Yeah, I need to do that at some point. So what that's going on is whatever this bit's called. No idea what that bit's called actually. this eye isn't looking at camera enough. It needs to look directly at the camera. Oh, I may have forgot to turn off the density override. Just double. Yeah, I did. I'll probably head off soon. Go play some games. Maybe I could quickly fix the rotation aside now. Let's just let this do a couple passes, see how it's looking. Maybe no, let's not do that. Let's grab this. Grab the group. Set my pivot to be object. Let's whip that up. His pupil needs to be a lot bigger. Yeti's really not rendering properly. This is weird. I think it just straight up needs maps to work correctly. Strange how it's not rendering. What if we change camera? Yeah, it's literally just straight up not rendering those doors. insert splitter camera. Let's change that focal length a little bit off. Let's do 120. Yeah, still not rendering correctly. Maybe it needs a texture reference object, which it shouldn't if it's not moving. But let's just check it just in case. Let's go rendering. Yeah, very odd. It's literally not even rendering the eyelashes anymore. Maybe it just doesn't support the distance from distance from guide thing. Need to fix the UVs on the edge of this thing. I think this would make an interesting camera angle. Maybe a little bit further out. Could it be culling it? I don't see any reason for it to be culling it. Because it's a very light groom. What's it doing with this bit? So I didn't have any of these issues with the pom-poms. And they're not using the whole... In fact, fuck it, let's test it. Let's do the stubble everywhere. Oh no, well, eyebrows everywhere. So let's go into the eyebrow group and set you to be 0, which is going to put eyebrows literally everywhere. But now we should be able to see eyebrow hairs fucking everywhere. This is where scalps come in handy, because like you don't need maps to limit the area. Just me or is it working now? No, it's not working. Yeah, odd. I can always switch to X-Gen. For like when I actually start grooming the project. Although I've already done a fucking pom-pom in, I've already done the pom-pom in Yeti. God, this is really bad. Let's try. Well, first off, I want to duplicate this camera because I do actually quite like that angle. Run the cam. D. Right, C. Let me try exporting a cache file. The eyebrow. For the eyelashes even. So if I grab this guy and just go Yeti export groom from selected Yeti node. And then let's just go exports groom. Eyelash. If we go into that, go into IO. Let's see if that renders. There is no camera. No, I need to kill this. I'm gonna close Pierrot. Hide the other two grooms. It's also possible that he has mesh history. That could be fucking things up. I'll have to double check that in a moment. First pass of the collar looks so bad. This one's not perfect by any stretch, but like, that's kind of funny how I thought that would be good enough. Why is this not rendering yet? I'm maxing out RAM. I don't know what they're struggling so much. There's no history on it. And I don't think it has any VSets. Yeah, it's still not working. Weird. Okay, well, I'm going to have to figure that out a different day. For now, let's just hide these guys. And I'm going to just kick up a render with this view. I'm quite fond of it. Yeah, okay, well, I'll figure out what's causing it to not render at a different date. But yeah, I hope you guys all okay and healthy and all that sort of stuff. No idea when the next time I stream. No idea when the next time I stream will be. There we go. Just because, again, really busy and kind of, you know, I don't want to use too much of my free time on personal work when I'm busy with freelance. But yeah, I'll let you guys know when I'm able to stream again. And yeah, thank you for watching for those who did, and enjoy the rest of your nights, guys. Bye bye.